Good evening, folks. Welcome to my floor. Rock bottom, as you might call it, with the way this Canucks team is playing. 0-5-2 through 7 games. We are talking record-breaking territory at this point. 7 games out of 82 done. Next game takes us to basically 10% of the season against the Kraken. I mean, you got to win that one, right? But with this team, who knows? We're on what we would call a 23, 24 point pace throughout the course of this season. That is abysmal. Like, abysmal. And sure, the Hurricanes were going to be a team that were going to be tough to beat. They're a good hockey team. They were 3-1, I think, coming into this game, and they're genuinely a good team. They're not a team that should be out shooting this hockey team that was supposed to be pushing for the playoffs. And sure, those expectations might be long gone at this point. But they shouldn't be a team that is out shooting this Canucks team 39-16. A game that never really felt close. And sure, the Boo Birds weren't there like they were the other night against who was that game even against on Saturday? I zoned out. I blocked out for the whole thing. But sure, it wasn't a blowout. It wasn't 5-6-1 like it was against the Sabres. But it was more of a blowout. Just Demko played better. That was the only difference. The team was just as lifeless. There was a couple players. JT Miller steps up, right? Plays his first game on the wing tonight and is genuinely useful. Scores 2 goals, the only 2 goals for the team. And sure, none of them are like goal scorers, like great goals, right? One's in the power play where he's sitting back door and he taps in a nice little feed. The other one, lucky bounce off Kotkaniemi's face, rips it. Great shot. But not like, oh, he's playing so good that he created that goal. It was just, hey, it worked. He took a shot. It found the back of the net. You find a way to get pucks in sometimes, which is great. That's good enough sometimes. So let's do a quick recap. We have a Svechnikov goal, his 7th of the year early in the first period. This is on that power play where they scored moments in. I mean, this is only 6 minutes into the game. And the Canucks penalty kill just looks atrocious. I mean, sure, Carolina's power play looked great. Sort of reminded me of that Oilers power play in the first game of the season. Carolina, they find Svechnikov. He rips it home. It's 1-0. And JT Miller does tie it, though. Gets his 3rd of the year, and this is on the Canucks power play after a challenge from Rod Brind'Amour that was kind of interesting because this is a goal that gets called back for goalie interference. It seems... I think I liked the call of goalie interference there because it looks like Demko tries to kick the right pad over and Stastny's leg is in the way. But apparently, I was reading after the refs called it as if it wasn't that part that was the goalie interference. It was the initial contact, which is kind of weird. But either way, Brind'Amour challenges it, goes nowhere, and the Canucks at the power play and they score off of that. Just kind of a silly challenge, though. I think if you're Brind'Amour, you just, be fine with it being 1-0 because you're going to win this game. But Canucks end up tying it at 1. Nothing happens in the second period, really. Third period, Sebastian Aho scores. This is Demko's one big mistake in this game where he, the play sort of comes in on him. I guess it's Jarvis that ends up sort of taking the puck wide, jams into Demko's pads. The rebound sits at the top of the crease while Demko is slid off to the side of the goal. And, he doesn't know it's there. Aho just sort of skates into it and scores. If you're Demko, you'd like to think, you don't know where it is. Maybe get back to the middle of your net, but maybe he thought it was under him, so he wasn't moving. Either way, though, 2-1, and then, it's only 50 seconds into the period. A period that the Canucks are lucky to still be in this game when they get to this point. And then it's Jesper Fast, 37 seconds later, who scores. And this one's kind of a kick, but also... kind of not. It's not challengeable. The situation room doesn't overturn it. It's one of those ones that I don't think it's overturned either way that they do call it. He sort of does one of these with his skates where he sort of turns and pushes, but it's not like a kick. It's more of a turn and direct. I don't know. I can see why they didn't overturn it. I think it was too much to overturn, but for the Canucks, you'd like to see him get away with that one, but they don't. And then, JT Miller gets a 2nd of the night, 4th of the year. I mean, you look at 4 goals in 7 games, thinking, man, he's on a 50-goal pace. Let's go JT Miller. But this is the first real game that he's been productive. And, you move to the wing, and he turns out to actually be fairly impactful. And I think that was genuinely a good move on the Canucks' part. So JT Miller with the clapper from basically the top of the zone to make it 3-2. Canucks pull the goalie. They do absolutely nothing. And where this game really falls apart, you can look at the scoreline and say, oh, it's 3-2 against the Hurricanes. That's an improvement over 5-1 against the Sabres. An improvement's not enough at this point. But you look at the shots on goal. I don't have the analytics up here, but I have the shots. Shots in the first period, 15-7 in favor of Carolina. That's not great, but hey, the Canucks come out of that in a tie game. Hey, you come out in the second period to work harder, and they did okay in the second period. Shots 9-6 in favor of Carolina, but I thought that was pretty even. Kind of a slow period on both sides. You'd like to see a little bit more life from a team trying to get their first win. But we get to the third period, and we're talking about a Vancouver Canucks team that has not won a game this season. They're in their 7th game of the season. They're at home. They just put up an absolute goose egg against the Sabres 2 nights prior. And they need, theoretically, 1 goal to win it. You score the first goal, you survive the rest, and you're in pretty good shape. And they come out, and they get outshot 9-1, 10-1. By the end of the third period, the shots are 15-3 in the course of the third period. I mean, that's just not good enough, right? When we're talking about a team that desperately needs a win, they need some life, and they go out and they are absolutely abysmal in the third period. We are talking about a team that after the second intermission, so in third period and overtime, this Vancouver Canucks team has been outscored 17-2. 17-2. A 15-goal differential in 7 games after the second intermission. How do you explain that? Other than this team just has no fight. They're a team that has shown that they can keep up with good teams, with Edmonton. Washington's a pretty decent team. Carolina, they were tied going into the third period. And they get to the third period, and there's nothing. There is absolutely nothing once we get to the third period. And it's absurd. It's absolutely just astonishing how this team can just flip a switch in the third period and get outscored 17-2. 15-2 if you take away those 2 overtime losses, I guess. Does that make it better? No, not really. Not really. I mean, here, let me pull up my calculator, which I had open. I don't know if you can see this from there. 23.42 point pace. 23-point pace through 7 games. Like, this team is on pace to just lose 23 games in overtime. And so that's what, 59 and 23? Is that what we have to look forward to this year? That doesn't seem ideal. I'll be honest. But who did impress this game? I mean, pluses and minuses, right? We can say, who was actually good tonight. JT Miller. I mean, sure, he wasn't like blowing the doors off, but he scored the 2 goals, right? We can't fault him for that. For a guy who has been the worst player on the team through 6 games, he came out and he got put on the wing and he played really well tonight. Like, genuinely really good game from JT Miller. Thatcher Demko had his best game of the year, right? I mean, stops 36 of 39, right? You're facing 39 shots tonight. There was the 1 goal that was bad. One was a sick deflection off of a foot, and the other one was a wide open net on a power play. Demko had a genuinely good night. You'd like to see him have that second one. Sure. But he stopped 36 of 39. He was not the problem tonight whatsoever. Elias Pettersson is still the best player on this hockey team. You can say, I mean, what did he get any points tonight? He got 1 assist on that first Miller goal on the power play, I guess, sort of off the faceoff. Not much of an impact tonight, but he was by far the best player out there. I thought Garland looked okay with the spins. Podkolzin going for some hits. I thought Kyle Burrows was pretty good tonight. Again, I'm watching the game from the sky, sort of on the upper bowl there, and mostly just focused on the game as a whole, not individual players. So it's harder for me when I'm not focusing on those individual players to pick out who was the better players on the ice. But I thought Kyle Burrows was pretty good. Horvat, I really didn't notice other than, the pass to Miller on the power play. Sure, that's great. And other than the 2 icings that were brutally called icings that he went after the linesman for. I mean, at that point, get kicked out. Go after the linesman. Tell him how bad of a job he's doing. Get thrown out. Be a martyr for your team. The team needs some life. The team needs some life. I have, I'm really lucky. I've been to 4 of the 7 Canucks games this year, and only 2 have been at home. Like, that's really lucky. And I'm going to the game in Seattle on Thursday. But I mean, man, you think of how much time and effort I've put into going to these hockey games and how little I've got out of it. It sucks. And it sucks for all of us Canucks fans, right? We're sitting at home, especially, coming into this season where we've been pitched a team that is supposed to be contending for the playoffs. This is the year that they take the step, right? This is the year that they're at the very least, like, they are maybe a point out of the playoffs, but they should be a wild card team at the very least. And all summer we talk about it. We do Canucks After Dark every week. We get excited about this Canucks team, and they got Mikheyev, and Hughes is going to take a step. Pettersson's going to take a step. Miller, hey, maybe we should have traded him, but hey, we got him. Let's ride. Let's see what happens. And we get all excited, and we come into fall and coming up winter, and really the best part of winter for me is sports. Right? I mean, it's snowy outside. Sure, I can go skiing. I play hockey year round. That doesn't really make a difference for me. But having the Canucks to cheer for, especially if they're good, is a real fun part of the year. And knowing that it's just not going to matter this year, that sucks. So Canucks play Thursday in Seattle. Maybe a chance to get their first win against a Seattle team that is struggling. Goaltending's been a big issue for them. You'd like to see the Canucks go up and put 6 or 7 on them. I'll be at that game, cheering the boys on. I'll have my jersey on as I always do. But I mean, you just got to hope that they're able to find a way. And, it's 2 nights of rest. I'm sure they'll get worked hard at practice tomorrow, maybe get the day off on Wednesday, and then hope they can get the win in Seattle. But I mean, this team just needs a win at this point. And sure, we can talk about tanking for Bedard, and I mean, this isn't going to be the best year to. It's a good year to tank. Like, the top 4 picks are all outstanding, but this team's not winning the lottery, right? This team can get 24 points and not win the lottery. We just know that at this point. So either way, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. That's it for me tonight. I hope you enjoyed, even if you didn't enjoy the Vancouver Canucks game. And hopefully we can talk on Thursday or whenever after a win. Have a good night. See you next time.